Hello, Ivy here. This week's podcast is entitled 2023 ResponsibleTech Youth Power Fund Cohort, Part 1, Episode 105. This week's podcast will look at two of the organisations out of the 26 named in this cohort. And our first one of today is AI Consensus. AI Consensus, a student movement sponsored by Minerva University, is dedicated to transforming education by empowering the ethical and responsible use of AI tools. Their mission is anchored in fostering dialogues that bring together diverse perspectives and a belief in the importance of learning. This quote is from their website. We are students at Minerva University, ranked the world's most innovative university, who are passionate about learning and creating a more effective education system. We started this initiative in February 2023 in response to schools across the world banning the use of ChatGPT in the classroom. Our next section is entitled Shaping the Future of AI in the Classroom, and again this comes from their website. A student movement empowering the responsible and ethical use of AI tools. Every field of professional education needs to be working on new solutions, but we are stuck in a no man's land. This website is very detailed, very informative, and I have just tried to extract key areas for the sake of the podcast. There'll be more details obviously in the article, but I recommend that you spend time on the website. The group who are looking at AI and its place in education have indicated that there are 4 main pillars for AI in education. And I will attempt to go through a summary of those 4 pillars. This is an extract from the Medium site populated by the AI Consensus group of students. We are a group of students at Minerva University who are thinking deeply about responsibly integrating AI into education. Currently, we see 4 major pillars that need to embrace within education to not only mitigate the negative consequences, but also reap the benefits AI is ushering in. Number 1. Universities need to recognise that AI has the potential to boost productivity and learning. AI should be embraced as a tool, a technology that helps us accomplish a function. With its human-like responses and ability to receive language-based input, it's easy to think that large language models could have their own agency. But at the end of the day, AI is just another example of a tool, a technology that helps us accomplish a function. While any tool can be used in counterproductive ways, it also has unique functions which can greatly benefit the user. For example, running a marathon in a car probably isn't the smartest decision, but a road trip across America by foot, maybe I'll stick to a car. In the same way, AI tools have applications that they are well suited for, in which they can be misused, and others where they are more than useless. In the context of education, tasks such as creating a slide deck or helping a student think through a math problem are ones where AI tools have clear and reasonable applications, accomplishing a task quicker and likely better. While other applications, like submitting a ChatGPT written essay as your own are definitely malpractice. We cannot deny that generative AI has applications within learning that can benefit all parties. When we think of AI as a tool, it becomes clear that the key to successful use is understanding where applications are beneficial and where they might be hindering us from our goals. Being able to avoid the hindrances and embracing the benefits means less time spent on unproductive tasks and more spent doing the things that matter. More productivity, better learning, more time. 2. Leaders need to understand that banning AI is not an effective long-term solution. What an effective solution does not look like. While we need to embrace AI's benefits, we also need to understand how to deal with its negative consequences. Coming to more clarity on how we can mitigate the downsides is a much more complex topic. But one long-term solution we can clearly rule out is prohibition. For one, the benefits to productivity, AI are far too attractive for barriers to stop individuals from reaching for that tub of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. With early control studies on college students suggesting both substantial time savings and quality increases on writing tasks. Even having to circumnavigate barriers might not be able to deter individuals. Further, if AI tools are discouraged on a group level, users will have to be concealed, not only creating a productivity tax on individuals, but more importantly, killing the much more powerful group-level learning. By disallowing the active exploration of this technology, and therefore the spread of knowledge around it, enforcement effectively stifles the building of culture and group learning, and with it, one of the main advantages of human cognition. Denying the use of this technology also creates an identity of a forbidden treasure, incentivizing students to rebel for that greener grass. While prohibition can be an effective short-term fix, its antagonistic nature, inequality, and the pure attractiveness of productivity will inevitably lead to conflict and the erosion of trust, making it an unsustainable long-term solution. Bringing this into our current state of education, while many academic institutions and classrooms have adopted prohibition as a solution, they must realise that this is not sustainable. The summer represents a golden opportunity to allow decision makers to evaluate and instead head towards negotiated and collaborative, not prohibitive, solutions. 3. Schools should incentivize Centaurs to come forward and share their use of AI tools. How to make the most AI tools. So if the prohibition of AI tools is an ineffective solution, what can educators and decision makers do today to reap the benefits of AI tools? We think there are two keys to the solution: trust and dialogue. There is quite a detailed and long section on trust and on dialogue. I'm not going to read through all that for this podcast. I will put more of it in the article, but even that won't be all of what's there. As I said, it would pay you to sit down and go through the website at your leisure. It is really, really interesting. Educators and administrators should be able to have faith in students' ethical judgments and trust that they are not being deceived. There is so much yet to be discovered about AI's potential to enrich learning, and coming to the table clean-hearted is essential for this discussion to be fruitful. Once trust is established, teachers and institutions should go one step further and encourage Centaurs to come forward and share what they have discovered. As individuals showcase their personal perspectives and experiences, the collective intelligence of the group grows, allowing learning and exploration of a topic to happen at much faster rates. There are quite a few examples given of how this collaboration could work. As I said, I'm not going to go through all of those. And just to close this section of number 3, these ideas are just the tip of the iceberg, and we encourage the same idea of trust and open discussion among teachers and administrators, such that teachers feel safe to experiment and are able to share insights with each other. The 4th pillar, the consequences of productivity. Given that AI tools are allowed to prosper within the classroom, we will effectively find ourselves in a new age of education where learning has never been so optimized, and yet the increases in productivity also present new problems to solve. As processes become more efficient, others become outdated and redundant, leaving us with many difficult questions. As online resources become better, teachers may seem less necessary. As AI is able to automate many processes, administrators might find themselves with nothing but free time. And granted, these fears have foundations. A recent paper which looked at which jobs would be most impacted by AI found that 18 out of the top 25 are educator roles. Yet, as science of learning expert Philippa Hardman points out, impact is also distinctly different from eliminate. With the ability to automate administrative admin tasks or easily generate content, educators can find themselves with the extra time and energy to better engage with their students, create better quality content, or even just have some well-deserved time off. Equally for students, being able to get personalised help undertaking a dense reading means a lot of freed up time at home and in the classroom. Does this mean more challenging content? More homework and assignments? Certainly, that would mean learning more, but maybe there is also a point to questioning what types of work are most beneficial. Should we load students down with more mandatory reading and topics, or should we allow them to use this flexibility to explore topics they are interested in? Conclusion. In order for AI tools to be used effectively in education, we need to have a deep and inclusive conversations about how to integrate them and about the consequences of doing so. All those with the authority to make these decisions, teachers, administrators and executives, need to be prepared for this reality and let advances for learning guide their decisions. There are a lot of big questions to answer, and the first step towards doing so is acknowledging these questions exist and that they are difficult. These are not questions one person can or should answer by themselves, but one which we should approach together as everyone holds a stake in its answer. There is scope on the website to register for discussions on AI in education and the pros and cons of that edition. If you are interested in any of these discussions, for further information, there are details on the website with appropriate relevant links for you to express your interest. This next section, and again, this is in the article, is an extract from the ResponsibleTech website, Empowering Responsible Technology in Education, the AI Consensus Initiative. Introducing AI Consensus, a Youth Power Responsible Technology Fund winning initiative, led by Minerva students Leo Wu, Jan Bartokowiak, I hope that was pronounced that right, apologies if I haven't, and Emil Rustamali. Few extracts from the funding body asking questions of the various students, in this case AI Consensus. Could you give us a brief overview of your project and how it aligns with responsible technology? At the core of it, we are a group of students who care a tremendous amount about education and learning. In February, when we discovered the mismatch between AI's immense potential to amplify learning and schools banning its use, we realised that as students in the very thick of it, we were in a perfect spot to help education responsibly embrace this opportunity. We hope to inspire invaluable discourse between stakeholders, students, educators, and administrators, and help bring together diverse perspectives that can push the field forwards. While this goal will require advocacy for the integration of AI tools in education, it also means highlighting the very real negative consequences AI tools can have for cheating and learning. This means responsibly embracing technology and the benefits it can bring us, but keeping the betterment of education at the core of everything we do. This is why we founded AI Consensus. Back to the funding body. What inspired you to pursue this particular project and apply for the Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund? We experienced firsthand how ChatGPT took education by storm. Overnight, with a few clever prompts, assignments that once took days could now be polished and submitted within an hour, at times without having read a single paper. Scenarios like these raised many difficult questions that everyone in education was forced to confront. When is using AI tools cheating? How does AI change what skills are valuable for the future? What was the point of writing the essay in the first place? While we are slowly forming better answers to those questions, it is also clear to us that the best way to do so is through thoughtful discussion and the free exchange of ideas. Thus, we decided to create a space where students and teachers alike can voice concerns as well as excitement, and find direction to responsibly embrace AI tools in the classroom. We launched our initiative, and during the Idathon in Hyderabad's T-Hub incubator, began discussing best use cases and potential classroom policies for Minerva. In the process, it became clear that the challenges related to AI tools are best tackled with students and educators working together, combining youth's enthusiasm with masterly experience. This is a challenge none can solve alone, and so one we must work on as a collective. Back to the funding body. Tell us more about the Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund and how you plan to utilise the $35,000 funding to further develop and expand your project. We were so gracious to have found the Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund, where youth from all over the world are given the chance to forge their own paths and work on moonshot social ventures. This grant allows us to build the foundations for this movement we could not accomplish ourselves. While we know we are well positioned to make an impact, we are also aware of our weaknesses. And having these resources allows us to make the best of our abilities by drawing on the strength of others. Practically, we are hosting a series of events that bring together both students and educators to create collaborative discourse so that we can move into the future of education together. Back to the funding body. What kind of impact do you hope to make in the field of responsible technology through your project? We have two intertwined goals: to promote best practices for the use of AI tools in education, and to engage diverse stakeholders to solve a pressing global problem. By incorporating next-generation decision-making tools, like Poll is within a global platform, we will be able to connect people that wouldn't otherwise get to, giving a voice to previously underrepresented groups and allowing us to centralise use cases and discussions around AI tools that can serve as a launchpad for effective, more education. How has your Minerva journey helped you build AI consensus and secure funding for it? We are very thankful for the position Minerva has put us in. We want to highlight a couple of factors. 1. Minerva's learning philosophy. Minerva encourages us to think about the real issues, look beyond the classroom, and not be afraid of solving the biggest problems that are out there. It's integrated learning philosophy, which we applied during our foundation year with civic projects, and where we balance theoretical and practical learning, was surely one of the driving forces behind this project. Secondly, Minerva's meta-competencies, habits of mind and foundational concepts, have given us the tools and skill set to critically assess the situation, identify a trackable problem, and translate that into clear, tangible actions which move us closer towards our final goal. In fact, we see what AI Consensus is trying to accomplish, not just as a huge opportunity, not just for education, but also for us as students, to prove the university's reputation as a global educational and innovative leader. There is a lovely section about the university being a talent incubator. I'll leave you to read that yourselves because of lack of time in terms of the podcast. But again, very touching. I think you will find that, as I said, interesting. They also go on to name teams and specific members of staff who have helped encourage them in this venture. And again, you will see that on the website. This is another question from the Power Fund. What are your long-term goals for your project beyond the funding received from ResponsibleTech? We want to set a precedent for how we approach technology in education and in the ability for students to have a voice in their own learning. This means creating the go-to platform for the use of AI tools in education and the equivalent of a global student think tank, a community of students from all over the world who are interested in the intersection of technology and sociology. We cannot pretend our goals aren't ambitious, but growth only starts by pushing boundaries. There are various links to different sections within the university and also with the students themselves who have secured this funding. I'm not going to go through them all here, but they are listed at the end of the article. We're moving now on to the second group who succeeded in securing funding, and this is Democracy Ready New York. Prepare every student for civic participation. Main heading: the Center for Educational Equity at Teachers College, Columbia University. The Center for Educational Equity is a research and policy center at Teachers College, Columbia University, whose mission is to strengthen educational rights. The Centre is the convener of Democracy Ready New York, a statewide, non-partisan, multi-generational coalition committed to civic education and preparing all students to live engaged civic lives. The mission of the group. Democracy Ready NY is a statewide, non-partisan, intergenerational coalition of organisations and individuals committed to preparing all students for civic participation. Goals. Raise awareness about all student rights under the New York State Constitution to develop the knowledge, skills and dispositions they need in order to engage, today and in the future, as effective civic participants. Strengthen state education policy, practice and investment with the goal of supporting that right, and mobilise the expertise of youth leaders, parents, educators, researchers, advocates, attorneys, youth development specialists and philanthropy to work collectively towards these goals. Heading: National Civic Crisis. The last several years have highlighted some troubling developments in our national politics: an increasingly polarised electorate, lack of focus on substantive policy, and widespread acceptance of one-sided, erroneous information. Other disturbing trends have existed for decades. A low proportion of eligible voters actually go to the polls. The number of citizens who participate in local community activities has dramatically declined, and more Americans than ever are neglecting basic civic responsibilities like jury service. These worrisome trends raise serious questions about how well schools are carrying out one of their most critical responsibilities: to prepare a new generation that is capable of safeguarding our democracy and stewarding our nation towards a greater realisation of its democratic values. Even though the US Supreme Court and 32 state Supreme Courts have explicitly stated that preparation for capable citizenship is a primary purpose of education. Next heading: New York State constitutional right not realised. The New York State Constitution guarantees every student in the state the right to education defined in terms of preparation for civic participation. Far too many schools, particularly schools that serve students in poverty and black and brown students, are ill-equipped to provide this type of education and fulfil this critical guarantee. If schools are not preparing students for active civic engagement, then they are not meeting their obligations under the law. Many experienced educators, civic education experts, and democratic engagement advocates are surprised to learn this. Even fewer students and families have access to this important information. New York can lead the way. Equipped with the necessary knowledge, skills, experiences and values, young people recognise their civic roles and exercise their civic powers to work for meaningful social change. Through a concerted effort by Democracy Ready New York and others who care deeply about civic preparation and engagement, New York can lead the way in ensuring that from pre-K through to 12th grade, schools prepare young people to strengthen our democracy. There is a section about the coalition, all the various people involved in this, and I will just again do an extract. So this section is conveners. The Democratic Ready New York Coalition is convened by the Center for Educational Equity, a policy and research center at Teachers College, Columbia University. The center's expertise and experience in student rights, education policy, civic participation, and public engagement position it to lead the coalition. Founded in 2005 by educational law scholar Michael A. Rebell, who successfully litigated the landmark educational rights lawsuit, CFE versus State of New York. The Center for Educational Equity champions the right of children nationwide to a meaningful opportunity to graduate from high school prepared for college, careers, and civic participation. It works to define and secure the resources, supports, and services necessary to guarantee this right to all children, particularly children in poverty and black and brown children. The Centre's Executive Director, Michael Rebell, is the author of the acclaimed 2018 book, Flunking Democracy, Schools, Courts, and Civic Participation. On November the 29th, 2018, Rebell filed a federal class action suit to establish a right under the US Constitution to an adequate education to prepare young people for full civic participation. There is a link to read more about that lawsuit in the article, and clearly more on the website. Members. Democracy Ready New York Coalition partners are educators, researchers, academics, students, parents, advocates, youth development specialists, legal experts, and civic leaders. We strive to be geographically representative, politically inclusive, and racially and socio-economically diverse. Under the Coalition's banner, a broad and diverse group work together to strengthen the state's education policy and practice to ensure all New York schools are fully equipped and supported to meet their students' civic learning needs. This is bringing to the end of the second organisation, but I will say there are a number of links to other partner agencies that are well worth visiting, but if I was going to do that, it would have taken me well beyond the time for this podcast because of the numbers. I wouldn't have done just one or two and left others out. So just as an information point, there's more information on various partners involved in this coalition that's well worth reading. I did start off highlighting a number of these, but as I was going through, I could see there was just no way I was going to be able to cover all of that. So this is really a summary of a much, much wider field of information for you to look at your leisure. So this is the end for these two organisations. I plan to do 2 organisations each week. There may be some that I will just do one. It depends on the content that I come across. I'm so far down at the moment that I will, when I say down the list of 26. So far, it's all of them are 2 for each week. But I may well come across others that require more time. So I may well devote some episodes just to one organisation. Either way, at the end of this series, I will do a summary of the whole lot. So hopefully, if I've missed anything on any of those episodes coming up, together with this one, then hopefully I'll be able to bring it all together in the final episode. Hope you have found this of interest. I certainly have, as I've been going through them. And as I said, there are more detail in the article. I've done a few slides for each one of these, but again, I could have done so many more. To bring this podcast to a close, I'd just like to finish with some information about the organisations who have contributed and put together to provide these funds for these 26 organisations. There are some slides on this area and, as usual, more detail in the article and even more detail on the website. The 26 organisations will use these funds to advance their work with projects focused on an array of technology issues ranging from ensuring responsible use of artificial intelligence, protecting human rights and removing barriers to safety and well-being, improving education access, leveraging platforms to address social and environmental challenges, among others. Societies globally are wrestling with major issues like the youth mental health crisis and the decay of our information environment. What and who can we trust online? Can online spaces be truly safe and affirm well-being? And what new systems can we create with instead of for young people? Said Emma Lykin from the Fund Responsible Technology team at Omidyar Network. These questions touch on issues ranging from platform accountability to cyber security, privacy, digital literacy, data equity, algorithmic bias, and digital well-being. And that's what this fund's grantees will tackle. The organisations partnering to invest into the fund are Omidyar Network, Hope Lab, Susan Crown Exchange, the Archwell Foundation, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, the Carmel Hill Fund, Data Funders Collaborative, Flourish Impact Fund, New Media Ventures, Oak Foundation, the Patrick J. McGovern Foundation, Pivotal Ventures, Reynolds Lookup Fund, and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. That's the end of the podcast for this week. As usual, I will look forward to speaking to you in the comments and the following week. So, it's goodbye from me. Goodbye from Ivy. Bye.
A las 12 me dan ganas de llamarte por el FaceTime, a decirte que estás bien fine, que mejoras como el wine. Conectamos como Wi-Fi, en otra vida como sci-fi. Tu presencia me pone high. Sé que no son horas de llamar, pero es que quiero comerte a besos. Si Dios quiere se nota, pa' romperte como todos los versos. Esto no es casualidad, de la forma en que tenemos sexo sobrepasa la realidad. Eres lo más chimba de esta, yeah. Se vuelve un caos, bebé, somos el Big Bang. Estoy enchulado, tremendo big plan. Voy pa'l poblado, nos vamos pa' la finca, y en la cama jugamos brinca, brinca, yeah. Se juntó el hambre, la que me come, que hasta esta lengua sabe de poesía. Es independiente, la bebé no es mía, pero así se sienta dándonos placer. Y es que cada vez que me suena el cel, muy bien sabemos que hay pa' hacer. Sé que no son horas de llamar, pero es que quiero comerte a besos. Si Dios quiere se nota, pa' romperte como todos los versos. Esto no es casualidad, de la forma en que tenemos sexo sobrepasa la realidad. Eres lo más chimba de verdad, yeah. En la cama una free, vamos Vamos por ronda como si esto fuera un ring. Empezamos pero no tenemos fin. Ya se me peca y lo mueve como Tilín, bebé. Me tira indirecta, siempre sus stories. Está con su cori, pero me tira el cel. Que dónde está la vuelta, manda la shorty. Esa paisita me sube de nivel. Me tira indirecta, siempre sus stories. Está con su cori, pero me tira el cel. Que dónde está la vuelta, manda la shorty. Esa paisita. Sé que no son horas de llamar, pero es que quiero comerte a besos. Si Dios quiere se nota, pa' romperte como todos los versos. Esto no es casualidad.